Our next artist is an Englishman. He's an Englishman. No, Germany. Paul Yates. A special thing that happened to him this year, he exposed 58 pictures in Fürth, near Nuremberg, in Germany. And this exhibition was the promotion of non-German artists actually living in Germany. And another great aspect of that is that it was in a theater. So thousands of people could see his work before the show or after the show. So it's a great opportunity. Sometimes Paul is working with famous people. And what he has learned recently is that we should not have preconceived ideas about famous people just because they're famous. People are people, and we are all equal. So let's be simple. Awkward moment. Ha ha ha. Before being married to Heike, he barely knew his parents. And one day, it was in Germany, he bought socks in a very famous underwear shop. So his parents-in-law asked him, because they knew he was in this shop, what did he buy in this shop? He answered, Strumpfhose. Non-speaking German are frustrated there. Huh? I know. Hey. So, Heike's parents were surprised. German people, you can imagine. And so Paul added, yes, I wear Strumpfhose every day in all seasons of the year. So they did not ask questions. Then on the way back in the car, Heike asked Paul, did you really buy Strumpfhose? Yes, you saw me in the shop. I bought socks. But Strumpfhose doesn't mean socks. That's all. Oh, it means lady tights. Can you imagine Heike's parents thinking that Paul is wearing lady tights all day, every day and in all seasons? It's funny. Lesson 5. People from a certain culture living in a different country, maybe you should gather all together with Paul, Dale, and make a group, and share your awkward situations, and write a book, and then sell it downstairs on the bookshop. Can be good. Oh, they're ready. Are you ready? Good. So, I let him present his recent work since last year. Please welcome with a big applause, Paul Yates.
Good evening, everybody. And it's such a great pleasure to be back at CA this year again. As many of you know, I'm a music photographer working with the entertainment and music industries. Another side to my work is with a children's charity in Africa, which has connections with the African Children's Choir. So I'll be showing you some of my recent work. I'll be showing you a little bit of African work, and then there'll be a short video at the end. The first picture I want to show this evening is a self-commissioned work by myself, where there was no client involved. It was just me wanting to take photographs of ballet. And this is one from a large series of images I took. The effect, the grainy effect you see there was intentional. For those of you who like taking pictures, the ISO setting on the camera was 1000. And this enabled me to get this nice pastel effect. It was taken in the studio with one light, which was coming from the right-hand side. And yeah, it's a series I'd like to continue, so this was the first of many, hopefully. Image number 2 is also a self-commissioned photo shoot, apart from another large series of images taken. It's a fashion shot, but in the style of editorial fashion, which, as many of you may know, is storytelling fashion. You don't need to see the garment, you don't need to see anything so clearly, it's just showing a lifestyle. And I found this interior, which interested me. It had nice doors inside, so it's taken inside a building. And the wall on the left-hand side is a wooden wall, which created some nice shadows. The lighting was entirely from behind. And once again, it's one of the photographs which I particularly like of myself. I have my favorite pictures, and this one, I think, is one of them. I'm not quite sure. I think it's mysterious, and you wonder who this lady is. And yeah, the story you can decide for yourselves. Everybody has their own impression from this picture. This is one of the most recent jobs I've done. A CD released by Sony Music. These are 3 rising stars of the classical music industry. The CD came on the market, I think, in March this year. And these 3 guys are Swiss. The central person, his name is Luca Bizzozero. He comes from the southern part of Switzerland, so his family are Italian-speaking. The young man on the right of him is Lionel Corté, who lives in Geneva, plays cello. He studied at the Juilliard School in New York. And the violinist is on the left-hand side as we look at it, originally born from Russia, now living in Switzerland, Yuri Revich. For those of you interested in the background to this picture, Sony came to me with a concept. They said they wanted the guys to look modern, absolutely not old-fashioned. Young guys with their whole futures ahead of them. And my suggestion to them was that we make them look a little bit like James Bond. Yeah? So they wore these polo neck sweaters, which makes the photograph quite timeless. This was done intentionally so that the main attention goes to their faces and not to the clothes they're wearing. And it also gives this James Bond kind of cool image for 3 young guys who are really going to be famous, I think, in the next 5 years. If you listen to classical music, you'll know at least one of these names, if not all 3. This image is from the cellist, Lionel, who was on the previous picture. He, as I said before, he lives in Geneva. I think there's an SMS coming through for somebody here. I photographed this in very modern style. The modern style is to desaturate the colors, to increase the contrast of the picture, and give it a kind of movie poster kind of feel. If you look at film posters, quite often the colors are not natural colors. They have this black, dark feel to them, and it makes them more impressive and a little bit more unusual. And once again, I wanted to photograph Lionel. He has his career in front of him. He's 23 years old. He's already, people are looking for him to play in big concert halls around the world. And I wanted to give him this very modern touch with the colors. And yeah, it was an interesting picture to take. Of course, with digital photography, you take everything in the normal colors and then you can play with things later, well, like the desaturation and so on. This picture is the Romanian cellist Georg Onget. He is a gentleman who is coming to the end of his career, so both these photo shoots happened within several weeks of each other. For George, I wanted to show the established musician, the musician who has been playing for 30, 40, 50 years. And I chose to make the photograph in black and white. I chose to light the photograph in a 1940s, 1950s movie style with lots of shadows and great intensity in his expression. And so you could see every detail. The photograph is actually in the exhibition this evening, so if you want to take a look at the photograph on the wall, you can see every little hair on his fingers and almost every pore in the skin. George is, as I said, he's coming up for retirement, and he's just bought his house in Italy, and he's a wonderful, wonderful man. But I was quite privileged to photograph two cellists from the two different ends of their careers. This is one of my personal favorites from the photographs I've taken in Africa. This was taken in Kampala in Uganda. I visited a children's slum, or rather a slum, where there were many, many thousands of children living just on the edge of Kampala. And the organization, the African Children's Choir, they're very active in Uganda, and this is one of the children they support from money raised by the choir themselves. What I like about this little fellow is that his grandma, because most of the children there don't have parents. The parents have died, and they often live with grandparents. They've died through AIDS, and mostly through AIDS, actually, in this present generation. And his grandma must have heard that there was a photographer coming to the school. There's a school in the slum, which helps the children. And she dressed him up nice and smartly for the visit that I made. And his expression, I just love it. I'm not... It's difficult to say or think or know what he's thinking, but for me it's something quite positive. And I can look at this picture for 5 minutes and keep looking at it. It's one of those images I shall always hold close to my heart. And the button on the jacket is in the wrong hole, which gives it a little twist of humor. And he has this lovely little fish badge on his lapel, and also a little handkerchief in his pocket there. You don't see it so clearly on the screen, but when you see the picture, it's also in the exhibition. There's a little handkerchief just by the fish, and I thought it was so sweet. I'd like to go back maybe in the next 2 or 3 years and visit the same slum and find out what happened to him. I don't know his name. I'd love to find his name. This was in the same slum, actually, and this is a little girl. So they're playing ladies' football already in Kampala. Football has become a huge sport out there in Africa and East Africa. And yeah, the children play with very simple toys, and this was a football that they use, and of course I spotted the texture on the football and the texture on the wall behind. And I wanted to try and show the contrast between the two. And there's this beautiful smile that she gave me. Well, this is just a lesson in being spontaneous, really. I'd visited a project near to Luwero in northern Uganda, and I'd photographed the children in the school, and as I sat in the vehicle to take me back to Kampala, this bicycle guy came past, and this happened quickly, and I grabbed my camera as quick as I could. And this is a lesson to everybody here, because my workshop, I'm trying to take people away from automatic on their cameras and getting them to think about manual setting and understanding how the camera works. But as another tip here, when you put the camera back in the bag after you've taken your photos in manual, it's always good to put it back onto program or automatic, because this photograph happened so quickly. I grabbed the camera, it was taken through the car window, so he just came in front of the car, and I grabbed the camera, took the picture within half a second, and he'd gone. And because I was on automatic, I didn't need to think about anything. I just was a spontaneous reaction. So for those of you who have cameras, when you put them away, keep them on program or automatic, just for those occasions when this sort of thing happens. So that's the end of the photos, but I just want to quickly finish with a very short video, which I shall try to find. Takes me 1 second. Okay, that should be okay. Thank you. Okay, so this is not such a great picture of me, but it was taken on the exhibition that Anlo mentioned. I had an exhibition in Stadttheater in Fürth, and I'm here photographed by, filmed by Fernsehen company in Germany. It's in German. I will try to just go over the main points. It lasts for, I think, 20 seconds, so it's very short. What's this? We're just plugging the sound in here into the computer. So, okay. Sound is not happening.
Ich liebe es, mit Menschen zusammenzuarbeiten. Und wenn ich kein Fotograf wäre, dann würde ich sicherlich etwas mit Menschen machen. Für mich ist die Fotografie das perfekte Mittel, weil ich einerseits die Gesellschaft von Menschen genießen kann und andererseits die Persönlichkeit derjenigen Person herausarbeiten kann, die ich gerade fotografiere. Wenn ich Musiker fotografiere, dann arbeite ich nach den Vorstellungen der Kunden, zum Beispiel für eine Plattenfirma wie Sony. Diese geben mir dann ein Konzept, wie meine Arbeit aussehen soll. Die Fotos, die ich von Musikern mache, werden dann mit Photoshop nachbearbeitet, um einzelne Hautunreinheiten zu korrigieren. Bei Reportagebildern ist das eine ganz andere Herangehensweise, denn ich fotografiere ja eben die Realität. Es wird nicht retuschiert oder nachgearbeitet. Wenn zum Beispiel in Afrika Abfall auf den Straßen herumliegt, dann bleibt er auch dort liegen, denn dieser ist eben Teil des Gesamtbildes. Wenn die Kinder Hautunreinheiten oder die Menschen Hautunebenheiten haben, dann lasse ich es stehen, denn meine Bilder sollen die Realität widerspiegeln, die ich eben mit diesen Bildern aufnehme.
So what I was saying here just very briefly is some of the points I've already talked about this evening, but when I'm photographing in the documentary arena, so this is showing real life, I don't do any retouching on the computer. So if there's litter on the streets and if somebody has a problem with the skin, then I don't retouch. But if I'm shooting for record companies, then obviously there's always Photoshop involved, but used very minimally. So just to take away just little things on the skin that don't look so good. But I'm not heavily into Photoshop. I think it's overdone by far too many people these days. And it's important to show the reality of the person, and so they look exactly how they are in real life on the final picture. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you.